We continue now at the top of Daf Kufyud Bezom and Bezom Meseches Bava Kamma. This is Bava Kamma Daf 112b. On the previous Amud, there was a dispute between Rabbi Yirmiyah and his brother-in-law regarding the property that his brother-in-law was on. Now, the issue is that the brother-in-law was a minor. And so Rabbi Yirmiyah said to Rabbi Avin, I could bring in witnesses that I had a chazaka on this property during the lifetime of his father. And Rabbi Avin responded, are you able to bring witnesses? Shalo b'fnei baldin, if the baldin is not there. And Rashi explains, Shalo b'fnei baldin, v'hai katan, this brother-in-law of yours is a katan, he's a minor. Command lesse dummy, it's like he's not there. So how can you bring witnesses? But the Gemara continues, v'lo, but can you not bring witnesses? V'akatani, but we learn, bein gedolim, bein katanim chayavin, that whether the orphans are adults or whether they are minors, in all situations they are going to be chayiv. And the idea is apparently you are able to bring them to court. That's what we said on the previous Amud. Amar lei, he said back to him, Hare machlokas sumchas betzidach, but that's actually machlokas, as we said on the previous Amud. And sumchas disagrees and says you can't be mechayiv the katanim. And so the Gemara says, Amar, so Rabbi Yirmiyah said, Ichvel kuli alma v'koyke sumchas. Did everybody decide to join together with Sumchas' opinion, lafkuin l'didi, in order to take away my property? Therefore, we're going to follow Sumchas. But in any case, the Gemara says, Adahachi, in the meantime, Igalgil milsa asu mata l'kamid Rabbi Avo. The matter came eventually before Rabbi Avo. Amr, he said, Lo Shamia L'chu Had Rav Yosef Bar Chama Amr Rav Oshia. Did you not hear what Rav Yosef Bar Chama said that Rav Oshia said? The Amr Rav Yosef Bar Chama Amr Rav Yoshia, because Rav Yosef Bar Chama said that Rav Yoshia said, Tinok Shatokaf Ba'avoda V'yared L'soch Sada Shel Chavero. If a Tinok, a young child, he takes his servants and he goes into the field of his friend, V'amar Shaliu, and he says, it's mine, Ein Omrim Namtin Ad Sheyagdal. We don't say we wait until he gets older. Elamotziin Miyado Miyad. Rather, we take it away from him immediately. U'lechasheyagdal Yavi Edom. And then when he gets older, we'll bring Edom, Venira, and then we will see what is the halach. And so over here also, we're able to take this away. But the Gemara says, Midami, but can you really compare it? Hasam hu demafkin and mine, over there we take it away from him. To lo kaim aleh chazaka davu, because he didn't have a chazaka that was left over to him from his father. Avol hechad isle chazaka davu, but where we have a situation where he has a chazaka from the father, like in this case, we're talking about the brother-in-law of Rav Yirmiyah, he has it already from his father, the chazaka. So in that case, no, we will not take it away from him. And Rashi explains, Shatakaf be'avodav, again, the young boy, he took his servants, Shalakach avodav imo shiyisayu. One explanation is he took the servants that they would help him get this property. Lishna achrina, another explanation, Shatakaf be'avodav, he actually took the slaves, V'amar shalihain, he said, these slaves are mine. And so then we said we take it away from him, and then when he gets older, we'll bring Eidim, Venira, Im Shalo, and then we'll determine whether it's his. But then the Gemara said it's not a good comparison. Hasam with Yard L'soch Sada Chavero, to Lesley L'hachtinak Bach Sada, Chazaka Davu. In this case, where the child takes the field, he doesn't have a chazaka from his father. But if the child has in this house a chazaka from his father, lo mafkina le'mine, we would not take it away from him. When he gets older, Yavi Rabbi Yirmiyah Edav, then Rabbi Yirmiyah should bring his witnesses, V'yadon imo, and then he can go to court with him. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Ashi, Amar Rav Shabsoi. Rav Ashi says that Rav Shabsoi says, Mekablan Eidim Shalo B'fnei Baldin, we can receive the testimony of witnesses even not in front of the litigant. The Gemara says, Tiba Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan wondered at this. V'chi Mekablan Eidim Shalo B'fnei Baldin, are you really able to receive witnesses not in front of the defendant? Kibla Minei Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanin. Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanin received from Rabbi Yochanan the following explanation. Kegon Shayahu Chola O Eidav Cholim. The case could be as follows. Let's say the plaintiff was sick or the Eidim were sick. O Shayu Eidim Evakshin Leilech Lemedinas Hayam, or maybe the Eidim want to go to a faraway place. They need to testify right now. And then they sent a message to the defendant, and he didn't come. In that situation, you're allowed to take that testimony even though he's not present. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says that Shmuel says, Mekablan Eidim Shalo B'fnei Baldin. Again, you're allowed to receive testimony not in front of the defendant. Amar Marukva said, L'didi mefarshali mine de Shmuel. To me, it was explained from Shmuel the following explanation. Kagon de paschule bedina. The case is that they opened the case. V'shalchule v'lo asa, they sent a message to him and he didn't come. Avalo paschule bedina. But if they didn't open the case, Matzi Amarle, then he could say, Ano levezan hagadol azil. Now I want to go to the high court. But the Gemara says, Yachi, but if that's the claim that he wants to go to the high court, even in a situation where they did open the case, why can't he say that I want to go to the high court? And the Gemara answers, Amar Ravina says, when they open the case, the situation is that this court has a letter from the Bezan Agadol saying that they, the lower court, are able to adjudicate the case, and that's why in that situation he's not able to say that I want to go to the high court. And Rashi says, Cholim, again, the witnesses are sick, Mesukanim Lamos, they're going to die, Vim Lo Achshav Emasai, if it's not taken care of now, then when will it be taken care of? Lebezin Hagadol, he claims he wants to go to the high court, Sheb Eretz Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael, and the Gemara says he can't always claim that, could go into Nakat Baldin Chaveru. Let's say, for example, the plaintiff has a diska, has an Igeris, Mi Bezin Hagadol, he has a letter from the Bezin Hagadol, Shesholchu Lebezin Shalkan Lachufo, they sent that letter to this court, that this court should take care of it, then he can't say he wants to go to the high court. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav says, Mekaymin es ashtar shelo b'fnei baldin, we're allowed to certify a shtar, not in front of the defendant. Rabbi Yochanan says, Ein mekaymin es ashtar shelo b'fnei baldin, you're not allowed to certify the shtar, not in front of the defendant. Amar le Rav Sheshes Rav Yossi Baravo, Rav Sheshes said to Rav Yossi Baravo, Asavra loch time of Rabbi Yochanan. I'll explain to you the reason of Rabbi Yochanan why you're not allowed to certify the shtar if the defendant is not present. Amar Krotz, because the pasuk says, V'huad bivola v'lo yishmerenu, it says there's going to be a warning to the owner, he's not going to watch it. Amra Torah, what the Torah is saying in this pasuk is, Yavo bal hashor v'yamod al sharo, the owner of the shore has to come and stand over his shore, essentially he has to be present. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rava says, Hilchasa, the halacha is, Mekayim es ashtar shelo b'fnei baldin, you are allowed to certify a shtar, not in front of the defendant, Va'afilu omed v'tzavach, even if he's standing and screaming, V'yamar, but if he says, Nikitu li zimna adamaisina sahadil, but let's say he says, give me some time till I bring witnesses, umarana le the shtar, and I'll actually prove that the shtar is bad, so then naktin le, then we do give him that time. Iyasa, if he comes, he comes. Ilo asa, but if he doesn't come, natrinan le, beis, hey beis, we wait for him on Monday, Thursday, Monday, and ilo asa, and if he still doesn't come, kasvinan psicho ilave tishin yomin, we write for him a document of ostracism for 90 days, tolosin kamai, the first 30 days, lo nachtinan lenichse, we don't go down, descend to his property, we don't take away his property yet, de amor katarach bezuze v'nezav, because we say that he's trying to get the money by borrowing. And mitziyoy nami, the middle 30 days also, lo nachtinan lein lenichse, we don't descend to his property, we don't do that to collect the debt. Diyamar dilma lo ashkach lemezach, because we say maybe he didn't find someone to lend him money. The katar chumazvin, and therefore he's taking care of selling his property in order to get money to pay off the debt. And basroy nami, in the last 30 days also, lo nachtinan lenichse, we don't descend to his property. Diyamar lokeach gufe katarach bezuze, because we say maybe the purchaser, the buyer of his property, he's trying to get money to buy it. Lo asa, but if he still doesn't come, Kasvina nadrachta nechse, we write a document of authorization on his property to allow the person that's making a claim against him to go to his property and collect that debt. And the Gemara says, Vahani mili damar asina, and that's all true if he says, I'm coming. Avalamar lo asina, but let's say he says, I'm not going to come, he refuses to come to the court, la'alter kasvina, and then immediately we write this document of authorization, allowing the person to collect the debt from his property. And the Gemara says further, Vahani mili b'milva, now that's all true by a loan that's being collected. Aval b'pikadim, but when it comes to a deposit, la'alter kasvina, then we write that document of authorization immediately as well. And the Gemara continues further, V'chi kasvinan ha-mekarkai, when we write this document of authorization, it's only that he can seize land from the person who owes him the money. Aval metaltali lo, but we don't write such a document of authorization that he should be able to seize metaltalin from the borrower. Why? Because dilma shamed v'yachaluhu malvel metaltali, because maybe what's going to happen is that the lender would then take the movable property from the borrower and consume that property. V'chiyasi lova maisi sahadi umarle l'shtar, and then should the lova come, should the borrower come and bring witnesses and actually prove that the shtar is not a good shtar, lo mashkach midi lemikva, he won't have anything to collect back from the lender. But if the lender takes land, so then he'll be able to just get that land back from the lender should he overturn the ruling. V'yislei mekarkoi lemalva, and then the Gemara says if the lender does have his own land, so kasvinan, so then we even write a document of authorization allowing the lender to collect movable property, because the borrower can always overturn the ruling and then take back the land of the malva. But the Gemara then says veloi, but that's not really true. Adrachta metaltali lo kasvinan, we don't write a document of authorization on metaltalin in any situation. Afal gavdi islay mekarkoi, even though the lender has his own property, he has his own land, chashinan shametachsav, because we're concerned maybe that land will go down in value, it will depreciate. And the Gemara continues, V'chikasvinan adrachtan, when we write a document of authorization, modinan le, we have to let the borrower know what's going on. V'hani mili demikra, but that's only true if he's close by. Aval mirchak lo, but if he's far away, that's not the case. V'mirchak v'ika krovim, now if he is far away, but there are relatives, inami ika shayrosa da'azli v'asu hasam, or if there are caravans that go to where he is and they come back, then mashinan le treser yachishas, we would wait up to 12 months of the year, ad da'azla v'asi shayrosa, until the caravans are able to go and come back. back. Kihad Ravina, it's like the case with Ravina. Shalom Maracha Tresar Yarchi Shasa. He waited for Maracha 12 months of a year, Ad Ozla Asya Shairasa, until the caravans went there and came back, Mi Bechozai from Bechozai. So you see, you do give this amount of time to inform the defendant. But the Gemara says, Veloi, it's not true. We actually don't give that amount of time. Hasam Inish Ali Mahav, over there in that situation, Ravina was dealing with a creditor who was very strong. You have a matcha adrachta liyade, so therefore, if an adrachta got to him, lo have a efshel lafukim minei, would be impossible to get anything back. Let's say the borrower overturned the ruling. Haval hacha, but over here, lo natrinanle, we don't wait. Ella ad azal shlicha betlasa b'shabsa v'yasa barba b'shabsa. We only wait the amount of time that a messenger can go on Tuesday and arrive on Wednesday. U'lechamsha b'shabsa kai bedine, and then on Thursday to be able to stand in judgment. But if it takes longer than that, we do not delay. And Rashi explains, again, we certify the document. The case over here is that the Edom who are signed on the shtar, they want to go travel far away. So what can happen is that the lender can bring them to Bezin, and they testify in their handwriting. And so the Bezin writes underneath that in front of 3 people we were, and the so-and-so came, and they testified about their signatures, and we're certifying that this is a good shtar. And even though the baldin is standing and screaming, Al Takaimu, don't certify it, Mizuyafu, that it's forged, Ein Choshen, we have no concern for that. And then the Gemara said that we give the defendant a certain amount of time, and if he doesn't come, so we write a psicha, which is a shtar shamta, that's a document of ostracization, al she'en porei achov, on the fact that he hasn't paid the debt, and that's a 90-day document, and then we eventually write an adrachta, which is the authorization, psak din leirid hamalva l'soch nechasim shalova, that's an authorization allowing the malva to descend to collect the property of the lova, v'litlim b'shuma b'chovo, take it, evaluate what it's worth, and take it for his debt. And then the Gemara said that we don't rely on the fact that the lender, the malva, has his own property in order to allow the malva to collect movable property, because shema tachsif, maybe that land will depreciate in value. Karkos shel malva tover v'tifchos midameh, maybe it will depreciate, so we don't rely on that. And then there was a case with Ravina and Maracha, Zeh Shemo, Maracha was the name of the individual, v'haya lo chov al chaveru, he was the creditor, v'lo haya halova ba'ir, and the borrower was not in the city. And finally, Rashi also notes, Sheni v'chamishi, the idea of waiting Monday, Thursday, Monday is because on Mondays and Thursdays, Batei Dinim Kivun Bayaros, that's when the courts sit in judgment in the villages, Takonas Ezra, that's an institution from Ezra, but Parak Meruba, that was earlier in Parak Meruba. And the Gemara continues, Amar Ravina says, Hai shlucha de Rabbanan, if you have an agent of the Rabbanan, mehemninon le kabeitrei, he's believed like 2 witnesses, meaning to say he's believed like 2 witnesses to say that a particular individual was told to come to court and he refused to come. V'hani mila shamt, and that's true in terms of excommunicating the individual, the defendant, who refuses to come to court. Aval psicha, but when it comes to writing the document of ostracization, kevan de memona kamachasrele, since you're actually making the defendant lose money, because he has to pay for the writing of that document, to kaboyle lemes of Lezuze Lasafri, has to give money to the scribe, so low. So over there, no, we do not rely on the shliach of the Rabbanan as 2 witnesses in that situation. And the Gemara continues, Amar Ravina says, Yehavinon zimna apuma de'itasa v'apuma de'shivavai. We give the person time to come based on the fact that he was let known by a woman or let known by the neighbors. We can let women in the neighborhood know, we can let neighbors know to let him know to come to court, and we rely on that. We assume that he got the message to come to court. But we only say this in a situation where he's not in the city. And Rashi explains, Shliach the Rabbanan, an agent of the Rabbanan, Shahalach lahazmin ish ladin, meaning he goes to tell a person to come to court. V'chazar v'yamar lebezin eino rotza lavo, and then he comes and tells the court the person doesn't want to come. Mehemnina lekavei, we believe him like 2 witnesses. De lo meshakar bebeidina, he's not going to lie to the court, and that applies in terms of excommunication. However, in terms of psicha, which is shtar shamta, which is the document that's used to ostracize someone, v'chishar le shamta lo shar le adiyoiv zuza, the psicha l'safra, there you don't do that until you actually have money given to the scribe to write up that document. And then it said, Yehavinon zimna mizamnin baldin liyom ploni ladin. We'll tell a person he has to show up on a certain day to court, and we'll even give that message al pi isha through a woman, ha'olechas etzlo, a woman that goes to him, lafi darkan, in her normal manner, or al pi shechenav, or let's say through his neighbors, that's fine. V'samchinan alayu da'avdin shlichusai, we can rely on the woman or on the neighbors that they're going to do the shlichus that we give them. Iloasi mechazkinan ba'afkaruso meshamtin alayin. If he doesn't come, we assume that he's refusing to come to court, and again we ostracize him. But that's only true, Ela Delesi B'masa, that's only true in a situation where he's not in the city. Shein Oso Ploni Achshav Be'ir Shebezin Bo, he's not in the same city as the court. V'yamar L'shcheinav, so then we tell his neighbors, Keshayasha Ploni, when he returns to the city, Amru Lo Lavo, then tell him to come. Then in that situation, we'll rely on the neighbors, otherwise we will not, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yomi Gemara Amud Aleph.